Right, well, positivity has been the word, hasn't it, since Mikel Arteta took charge of Arsenal, and that proved the case very much on Monday as the Spaniards' youthful side got past a struggling Bournemouth to set up an FA Cup fifth-round tie against Portsmouth.
I'm very pleased. I knew it was going to be tough here. We played a really young squad today, and I wanted to see the reaction, and I'm very pleased because I saw a lot of things that I really liked. In the first half, I think we were really, really good. I think they executed everything that we planned in a really good way. They have courage to play. They have courage to make big decisions. You know, they are important in this side. There's no the ice on the cake. No, they are probably the core of that team at the moment. And to play with that accountability and decision, I really like it. It gives you a lift. You know, go around, extra round. Now that you look at the next opponent, you get closer to Wembley, which is a magnificent day. Let's go step by step, but they are really willing. I had experience as a player, and I wanted to experience as a manager now.
I promise you I'm not getting paid by The Guardian, but another quote from The Guardian, Ed Aarons, he says, if this is what Mikel Arteta's vision for Arsenal looks like, then the future is in very safe hands. After, of course, that latest win against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think we should put our foot on the ball a little bit with one game, and particularly against a Bournemouth team who are really struggling. We've done this so many times with Arsenal, haven't we, in the last few years, even whether it was during Arsene Wenger's the latter part of his stay there, whether it was when Unai Emery was here, and now with Arteta, that we see them, the game against Chelsea last week, you know, we see some tenacity, some fighting spirit, and all of a sudden we rush and say, oh, great, Arsenal are finally showing the bottle that they've been lacking, that's been the problem for the last few years. And then, of course, 6 weeks down the line, they should show us that actually, you know, it's gone missing again.
But arguably, has it been since Arteta came in that it's those slow marginal improvements? For example, it's the same personnel, but he's getting more out of those players.
Yeah,
the defensive security.
What big tests have they had so far? You know, since he came in December.
Yeah.
This is a nice part of the season. Yes, the games are coming thick and fast, but it's the middle of the season when our focus is on, you know, one game to the next, and we're not looking almost at the bigger picture. If Arsenal finish in the top six, then I think we can say, yeah, look, Arteta is putting things in place that are showing the club progressing. They're showing why the club decided to go for him this time. But I just don't want to rush to judgment and say that everything.
I take your point. I mean, look, Manchester United, and we're saying Manchester United, potentially the worst Manchester United team in 30 years, but that win over them at the Emirates was convincing. And I just mean by the fact that they've had the same centre-backs in the position, and all simple changes, changes that you and I could have sat in the green room and talked about, putting Torreira in his best position. The transition perhaps of Xhaka is one.
Square pegs in square holes. You know, who'd have thought that might work?
But I mean, that's so seamless as well. And now he's a leader. I mean, he had the armband. I didn't even know this. He had the armband at Crystal Palace after Aubameyang had been sent.
Under the radar, wasn't it, that one? It was clever done. Look, I think Mikel Arteta has clearly got potential to be a good Premier League manager. He's learned from an incredible manager. But going out there on your own, making the decisions, knowing when to make the substitution, just recognising when someone's having an off day, when the crowd think he's having a really good game, and you know, that game management, that's something that's going to take him a long time to get to the level that he can get to. I'm not saying he's not at a good level already, but yeah, I just think with Arsenal, I'd rather look at it over the next 3 years and say, you probably say we've got about 40 minutes left and you want an answer on it now, but these things take that amount of time before we can actually say, you know, look, society these days, we want answers to everything straight away, don't we, on Twitter and social media and everything like that. But I just think we've been here so many times with Arsenal that we just need to say, look, let's steady on, and maybe, and let's hope. Look, let's hope he does put some spite into them, and the bottle and the leadership and the character that we've questioned, because none of us could sit here and say we don't enjoy watching Arsenal play football when they're at their best. And there have been signs, you know, the goal that Saka scored, you know, what a lovely move. That was vintage Arsenal. That was like the best kind of goal that we used to see under Wenger. But I just want to see them proving it over a length of time now.
Arsenal fans, what do you make of that? Use the hashtag, the headline makers, to join the conversation. And I guess a point that Tom made there, and he mentioned Bukayo Saka's goal. In fact, Bukayo Saka, after last night, I saw that he's played only 1,500 minutes of football in all competitions. this season, and he's been involved in 10 goals, which is a remarkable turnaround for someone who's not a left wing back, and it looks like he could be sort of this left-sided Trent style player, doesn't he? But Eddie Nketiah, who he was full of praise for, came back from his loan from Leeds, and of course Gabriel Martinelli as well. He's got 3 exciting young players there to work with.
He does, and it's early days for Arteta, and there's lots of work to do, but I can see so many positive changes already, and changes that I can understand why Arsenal fans are enthused by. I think without the ball, Arsenal are so much better organised, more aggressive, more intelligent in their play. I think the attacking patterns are a lot clearer than they were under Unai Emery. I think there's a definitive change of mentality already. I was there when they played, I was at the Emirates when City were there, which was Ljungberg, I think the final game
and
in charge.
Of course, in the dugout for City,
And Ljungberg said, you know, I've told the club that they have to make the decision on the permanent manager because we're actually going nowhere. And then Arteta gets appointed, and I was there for the game against Manchester United, and honestly, the difference between both games, and obviously it's hard to draw.
Manchester United were awful that night.
Yeah, but Arsenal put them under so much pressure when they didn't have the ball. Arsenal's tenacity to want to win back possession so quickly was not something I've seen from an Arsenal team in a long time, and how they went about it, and how the crowd responded to the tackles they were putting in, the pressure they were creating for United. When a new manager comes in, there's obviously those initial signs of, you know, positivity and stuff, so it's hard to draw conclusions. But I think structurally with the team, tactically, there are a lot of positive things I can take away.
It wasn't long ago they were singing "We've got our Arsenal back," and that was under Unai Emery, and look how that ended.
Yeah, good point. Look, what about Gabriel Martinelli? Because this seems a guy that he came in from Ituano, I think, didn't he, in Italy? £6 million they paid for him. He's 18 years old now. Ronaldinho, comparing him to
Ronaldo.
I mean, it's huge praise from a fellow countryman as well. But can you see that potential from that size potential?
Well, look, he's got a long way to go before he can live up to the original Ronaldo. What I do like about him is his instinct and how clinical he is in front of goal. I've seen a lot of him in the Europa League, and we've just seen the goal against Chelsea last week, which he has a bit of luck when Kante takes a swan dive there, but the quality he shows and the composure he showed to finish that was first class, and for an 18-year-old to have those traits, it bodes well for him. Look, he's got a long way to go, but the signs are there that they've got a very good player. And I think what really works well for Arteta is he's come into a similar situation to the one that Frank Lampard walked into at Chelsea, where the pressure isn't necessarily on because it's like, OK, well, it wasn't just Arsene Wenger. Unai Emery proved that it wasn't just Arsene Wenger. So now let's look to the academy. And, you know, you're one of our own, if we can borrow that phrase, and we're going to give you a little bit of time to play these youngsters and play the likes of Nketiah, play the likes of Martinelli, and even Guendouzi, who's been at the club for 18 months now. You know, give him a little bit more time, and let's all move forward together. And I think that will work to Arteta's
Well, on that point, Charlie Watts, not the Rolling Stones drummer, from Goal.com, says not every transfer is going to prove to be as successful as Martinelli. There are also going to be some signings that fail to make their mark, but the more work that clubs put into identifying and scouting the best talent, which is what Melissa was talking about a couple of minutes ago, the better the chance of the player going on to be a success.
Yeah, and they did a lot of homework on him, how he prepared for games, how he took the less comfortable route of getting to where he needs to be, because there were a lot of big moves put forward for him, and he wanted to get minutes and properly test himself instead of going, you know, the comfortable, easier, more obvious route. I think that's all impressive. What I like about Martinelli, apart from obviously incredibly talented, but the confidence he has to demand the ball, to you know, give a teammate a bit of a pasting when they haven't put the ball where he wants it to go. And just there's a lack of fear and a lot of courage, which I think is so important for a young player to have to be successful at an elite level. he's got a lot of things that I think you look at and you think, at that age.
I'm going to stop short of a direct comparison, and look, Ronaldinho knows football probably better than I do. I'll give him that, but the temperament-wise with Martinelli reminds me of Michael Owen, and exactly what you're saying, that he just no fear whatsoever, just utter belief in his own ability, and if he can keep working hard and not think that because he scored a few goals at the age of 18 and because he's in the papers every day and everyone's talking about him, he's made it, then he could have a very bright future.
And actually, he scored 10 goals this season already, Martinelli. The last teenager to do that for Arsenal 2 decades ago, Nicolas Anelka in the season, which is an incredible stat. I mean, in terms of players coming in then before Friday's deadline, Pablo Mari, a Spanish centre-back from Flamengo, is being talked about. Sam Dean from The Telegraph saying that deal could be done. Any other murmurings?
Well, that's an interesting one because it seemed to have been done and then there was stalling and then it was off and then it was, we're definitely keeping him, he's not joining Arsenal. And Flamengo said they're very confident that they'll be holding on to him. So an interesting one to see if it gets done because both parties are confident in their aims for this deal. Yeah. Arteta said they're trying to get what they can within their resources. So I think it's basically loan deals for promising players that they want to get over the line with, possibly the option or obligation to buy, depending on, you know, what criteria is met within the deal. It's really difficult to get January business done, especially if you're trying to get January business done with a long-term view. So you're not just trying to get any player in to make up the numbers, where you're looking to get quality that you know is going to help you in a few years. But they seem to be going about things cleverly, and I think they have to because, you know, they're not working with unlimited funds. It's a short period, so yeah.
They're not going to get the long-term defender that they need in January.
OK, there we go. Right, that's Arsenal done and dusted. Up next, we're going to look ahead to the 2 League Cup semi-finals taking place this week as Aston Villa face Leicester.